Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Now, last week I told you about a young girl who was originally from Atlanta that had to move out to Houston because she had to go through some cancer treatment. And I tell you that shout out to DJ E. Feezy. He called me one day and said, I really want to help. I want to put on this whole kind of a day where we raise money, like a platform, because the young girl likes to dance, likes to sing, and he asked would I help and be involved. So I said, of course. He told me the story, and I said, absolutely, positively. And now we have her mom on the line right now. Good morning, Monica. How are you doing?
Good morning, Monica.
Good morning.
So now this story meant a lot to especially me and Charlamagne, because Charlamagne has 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters. I have 5 kids. So for people that don't know, explain the story and explain what's going on.
Well, Eric is dealing with a grade 3 anaplastic ependymoma, and grade 3, stage 3. That's the highest, and she was diagnosed with that from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first found out about it, and Lyric kept having headaches, but you don't take your kids to the emergency room for a headache.
Mm-hmm.
But she kept explaining when her head hurt, her neck hurt, her back hurts. And, I explained this to her doctor. They kept sending us away. The vomiting, they kept sending us away with some Zofran.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it got worse to where the child couldn't see. Like, she was having to text me through Siri help. And took it to the ER, and they just kept turning us away. And a lot of parents with brain tumors, they get turned away.
Mm-hmm.
And when you Google brain tumor symptoms, everything that Lyric was describing comes up.
Really?
So, when we got her into the ER, it was just like, you have nothing to worry about. It's nothing serious. And I'm, from the beginning, asking for MRI. And it's like, oh, it's not that serious. Well, after they kept running tests on her, trying this drug, eventually they got her to be able to, get out of bed, keep energy down, and keep her food down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm thinking we're going back home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling my job. I'll be back to work. And when they took the medication away from her, the IV away from her,
Mm-hmm.
she began to throw up again.
Mm.
So they're like, you know what, before you go home, we're going to get an MRI. So as I'm home, at that time, while she's getting an MRI, I let Dad stay there with her. And I'm home, getting things together. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call like, she's not okay. She has a mass on her brain.
Mm.
And,
Man.
it was hard to, even receive that information, a mass on your brain.
Right.
And, the doctors are always nonchalant about everything. And when they tell you they need to operate, it's like, we need to operate right away, So you don't get the time to think about the doctor's experience, the reviews. You don't have time to think about that. You're just in shock that your child's skull has to be cut open.
Right.
How do I explain this to her and things like that?
And this was what age?
This is at 11.
11.
Wow.
Yeah. This is at 11. So Lyric took the news quite well. She just didn't show too much fear. I mean, when her dad said they're going to take out whatever in your head to stop you from having headaches, she was like, there's something in my head,
Mm-hmm.
So after that, the child life specialist come in and explain to Lyric about the cells and how her cells are not separating, and we need to take that away.
Mm-hmm.
So when they explained that to her, you could see the fear in her eyes. You could see her being scared. She just had a couple of tears that came down. she didn't want to see her cry, but she took the news quite well. But when the biopsy report, I'm thinking she's going to have surgery. They're going to remove a tumor. I'm not even associating tumor with cancer at this time.
Right.
And, after she had the surgery and she was released from the hospital, I'm thinking that that's it. It's like, that's over with, And it was in January when they called me and was like, it's cancer.
Damn.
So my daughter said to me, if my mom is crying, which I try not to let her see me cry, if my mom is crying, then it means it's something serious, So she began to cry. And when I told her she had cancer, it was just like a shock to her, It was like, I have cancer, and she cried. Not a sobbing cry, but you could see the worry on her face, the tears throughout the week. She was worried. And I tried to get her over this fear and to do fear exercise with her. And she said the one thing she was worried about is not beating cancer. That's her fear, not beating cancer. So immediately after the surgery, they wanted me to do chemo and radiation with her. And I'm listening to everyone that experienced chemo and radiation was like, no, don't put her through that. Don't put her through that. And then I'm hearing the doctor side saying, if you do not put her through the chemo and radiation, your daughter will die, So I chose to go an alternative route and deal with a homeopathic doctor. She has a master's in homeopathics. And I try to do it that way. I would get up at 5 a.m, preparing raw vegetables for this kid. And for a child 11 years old to get up in the morning to have to feed her raw vegetables and a half a grapefruit and walnuts, and water, that's a lot. Like, what kid wants to eat like that?
Absolutely.
But she did it, and she didn't complain about it. She took the medicine, that they gave me to give to her.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I probably should have pulled Lyric out of school at that time to monitor her eating habits. Because when she would go to school, that's when she would indulge in other stuff at school.
Damn.
So on March 30th, I took her back to the ER. And a couple of days before that, she's like, Mom, I don't want to go back to school. I'm like, was someone teasing you? And she's like, no. But she's like, I don't want to be tempted to eat anything that I'm not supposed to eat. So, and I noticed that she started throwing up her food again. I take her back to the ER, and they tell me that the tumor has grown and is bleeding now.
Oh my gosh.
And Lyric is crying. She's like, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have did this. I should have ate that stuff, Mom. You wasted so much money on this, and this. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My sister deserved to have a big sister growing up. She was concerned about her sister and stuff like that, because I have a 5-year-old too. And as Lyric talking, her head just ended up dropping. And I'm like, Lyric, because my daughter pranks a lot. I'm like, Lyric. And I looked at the monitor and it said 0. So I went and got a nurse. I was like, I think she stopped breathing. And she had coded. So they had to intubate her and everything. But they also told me if I don't do chemo or radiation, there's no point of them doing another surgery. So I said, okay, I'll come on board with doing chemo and radiation. It was a difficult time at that time. Lyric heart rate got down into the 20s. Blood pressure got up to the 200s. Doctors are running with her because they don't know what's going on. They had to do drainage, where they put the catheters on each side of the brain to get the fluid off. So she went through a second surgery around April 7th. And again, I'm thinking like, okay, after this surgery, we have to do chemo. And they put her through 2 rounds of chemo. And when I took her in there for chemo, she was complaining about her head hurting. So they had to do the operation to give her port. They did the operation, did that incorrect. Something went wrong, so they had to take her again and do another operation to fix that port.
Oh gosh.
At the same time, she keeps complaining about head pains, and they keep giving her morphine. It seemed like they was just trying to rush this chemo in her. And every time she wakes up, she complains about head. My head hurts. And they give her morphine. So at this point, I'm getting frustrated because I feel like you just pacifying the problem by giving her this morphine.
Right.
And I'm like, can you see what's going on? Well, kind of fell out with the nurse behind this. So they switched out a nurse. So about 6 o'clock in the morning, Lyric coded because no one's taking the time out to look to see why this kid keep complaining about a headache. So they had to stop the chemo, and they took her. She had to get a surgery where they put a shunt on her brain because the fluid was building up on the brain, and that's why Lyric was having this headache. So after that, in June 2019, we found out that the chemo did not work. They told me that she was going to need to have another surgery. This will put her at surgery number 3. It's actually 4, but I'm going to say 3 because it's debulking the tumor. So at this time, I told them, I said, well, can she enjoy her birthday first? Her birthday's 4th of July. I'm like, let her enjoy her birthday. And I told the doctor, let her enjoy her birthday. And, I took her to California, let her see family there and things like that. And on her birthday, her attitude was so bad. Never seen her act like that before. She was crying. She was just all over the place. But she cried out to me and she was like, I got to have surgery and I don't think I'm going to make it. I might die. And that was the hardest. It's hard to hear your kid talk like that. And you see the worriness on her face. And so after her party, when I took her home, she don't too much complain to me, but she told her dad, my head hurts. The following morning, she ended up throwing up. I took her to the ER, and they told me the ventricles were swelling. We gave her some steroids, and they felt comfortable with her going home. And when she went home, on July 10th or 9th, the day before the surgery, I could just see, she was just angry. She didn't want to have that surgery. The day of surgery, she, Lyric didn't want to sit next to me. She didn't want to kiss me goodbye to go to the back for the operation. She was just so angry. She didn't want to have that surgery. So when she had that surgery July 10th, she came back. They called me at 6 p.m., told me I can come back. And when I get there, I'm like waiting around. I didn't get to see the doctor until around 8. And so they telling me Lyric doesn't want to wake up from the anesthesia. And but the surgery went fine. So it wasn't until 10:15 p.m. I was able to get to the back to see Lyric, and she was just shivering. And she was able to tell you where she was. She was able to she was comprehensive. She was able to give you the correct answer to the questions. I heard the monitor the following morning. I keep hearing the monitor go off. So I asked the nurse, I said, "Can come check on her?" The monitor was going off quite some time. And the nurse sounded to be a little irritable. So I went down on the foot of the bed and I looked at Lyric, and her face was blue, her lips was blue. And all of a sudden another nurse comes in and they began to shake Lyric's chest, wake up, Lyric, wake up. And they hit code blue. So they went ahead and intubated her. Whole team rushed in to do their job. And it's like an hour later, she code blue again. And, the doctors, they bring me into this little room and tell me that she wasn't going to make it. They didn't think she was going to make it. That the tumor was taking over, winning the race and things like that. So at that time, I just walked out the meeting. And I just cried going out the hospital, and I just sat outside for a while and looked to the sky and I cannot believe, I can't lose my daughter. I can't believe I'm hearing this. And so I go back in, I'm like really stressed. I'm really stressed out at this point. This is the first time that I had to sleep in a sleep room because it was just like very stressful. And, reading all the prayers on social media and stuff like that, I was just praying. There was just a peace that came across where I could sleep for a little bit. So the following morning, I woke up. I didn't know what I was gonna run into, turning that corner. But it was quiet. Her room was quiet, and from there going forward, I just had peace at that time. The doctors told me another surgery would take her out. But then a week later or so, the doctor come back and tells me, "Oh, maybe we could do another surgery on her and wake her up." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing another surgery." At this time, her Lyric's head felt like a water sack in the back. And, she was on a ventilator. And she probably was on a ventilator for about 2 weeks, maybe about 2 weeks. But I knew that there was some type of brain functioning there. I knew she was going to be okay because when I take her ring off, she could put the ring back on. And the only thing she could move was that left hand. Lyric ended up suffering from a stroke, is what I was told. And
How old is she at this time? She's still 11 or she's older? 12.
She's
Okay.
12 now. Told me she was suffering from a stroke. They didn't think she was going to make it to radiation or any of that. So at this point, when they put a feeding tube in her, I'm paying attention, how they inject their medication. So as a mom, I'm going to do everything for my daughter as well, so I would inject herbs into her feeding tube. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but, I'm fighting with my daughter,
Right.
And finally, when the tube came out, I began to, give Lyric little tiny ice chips, which they tell me not to give her anything by mouth. But I could see that she was dehydrated. And so seeing her like chew on a little tiny ice chips was like the biggest thing to me, ever. Like, I was like so happy that she was just doing that. And just the therapy, I mean, it took a lot of therapy to get her back. She wasn't talking. She had lost her vision. She couldn't walk. It was like a infant, I wasn't sure if my daughter's gonna ever be able to walk again or talk. But I just kept faith. And, when therapy wasn't in the room, I was working her out myself, stretching her legs, just constantly talking to her, playing music for her. And her first words, I had whispered in her ear to tell her I love her. And, she just took a deep breath, was like, "I love you too, Mom," And from there, she just started back talking. So after that road, I mean, it was a hard road to therapy. She did radiation for 6 weeks. Her tumor stayed stable for like a little over a year. And, it's like you're not worried. The child is almost running again. She walking on the treadmill like 2 hours at a time. She's happy. At this point, I felt comfortable at this point. I felt a little bit more peace and relaxed. And then she started experiencing seizures, little focal seizures. And I take her to the ER again in August. And they tell me that her tumor has a slight growth. And I'm like, here we go again with this. And they was like, "Oh, the oncology will go over it with you." So again, the team in Atlanta, they always are so very nonchalant about everything. And when they told me that she's gonna have to have surgery again, I was like, "Oh, I can't let this same surgeon operate on her again. I just can't." So I began to research doctors that experience with ependymomas, and I found, well, I didn't find him. He reached out to me, Dr. David Sandberg, because he has a clinical trial here in Houston. So I immediately rushed lyric scans over to him, and he looked over her scans and he contacted me back and told me that she's not eligible to go into clinical trial because of where her tumor is located. Most kids' tumors are located in the back. However, hers is located in the top of the pineal region of the brainstem. So he was not able to help me. So I'm like crying out to him, like, do you know anybody else? Can you direct me? And the more I read up on this doctor, and my brother friend used to work with this doctor in Miami. He was an ER doctor. He worked with Dr. Sandberg. Just told me how compassionate Dr. Sandberg is, and how he's very gifted. He's a genius. If he had to pick a doctor, he would pick Dr. Sandberg. So I immediately brought Lyric to Houston. I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect, but I brought her to Houston. And when Dr. Sandberg got her, he was very worried. He was like, your daughter has a massive tumor. And I'm like, the way he was worried about Lyric, I didn't get this from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to know, I wasn't, familiar with the compassion,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't even think about doctors having compassion, but the way his team cared for Lyric, the compassion they had, I was like, I got to keep her here in Houston. So after doing the surgery, he came out. It was like a 13-hour surgery. He came out, and you could just see the sweat from his face. Like he told me that surgery, it was a long surgery, of course, but he said on the stage 1 to 10, that tumor was like a 20.
Mm.
As he pulled tumor out, he said it looked like it was just growing. I mean, not that the tumor literally grows from taking it out, but he just said it was just so much tumor inside. But with Lyric having that much tumor on her head, on her brain, like looking at the videos where she did the video Smile. I don't know if you saw that video.
With Lil Duval? Yeah.
I seen it with.
Before Lil Duval.
Before Duval?
Before her
Okay.
beating him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But she never complained. Like she always smiled. She always like enjoyed the music, dancing. She never complained about no pain.
Mm-hmm.
And how is it that a kid have that much tumor on their brain, yet they still push through and they still smile and they still, enjoy life? Like she's so strong.
Right.
So he got that tumor out, and he recommended me to get treatment right away for Lyric. So we got her into MD Anderson. She started doing a immunotherapy treatment. And she did probably about 3 or 4 appointments with that. And on the week of Thanksgiving, Monday, I noticed her legs was like a little weak, because I could put Lyric on the treadmill and Lyric want to walk on the treadmill for over an hour. But this time I couldn't get her to walk. After a minute, she was like, I want to sit back down. I said, come on, Lyric, just push through. Give me 5 minutes. And she gave me 5 minutes, but I had to stand behind her to get those 5 minutes while she walked.
Mm.
And so I put her back down. On Thanksgiving Day, on Wednesday, is the day she have treatment. And I told the doctor, I said, her legs are feeling kind of weak. And he was like, well, do you think she's fatigued? I said, no, I don't think it's fatigue. Her legs are weak. So they approved her to go ahead and get treatment. She got treatment. And then on Thursday, she was able to stand tall in the shower. She stood up straight, do her hair. And I sat Lyric in a chair, like, let's take pictures. And she ended up leaning over and fell out the chair, which I caught the bottom part of her, but her head kind of like hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a hard bump or anything like that. But I couldn't, when I went to pick her up, it was like dead weight. And Thanksgiving Day, she could not move those legs. Like she could not stand. It hurt her to stand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here at this hotel by myself. I can't, how am I going to get through this? So I got through it. The following day, it was a little better. She was able to stand, but she couldn't move, and her legs was in pain. The seizures, she ended up having 4 seizures the following day. I took her to the ER, and that's when I got the news that the tumor has grown back dramatically. She just had surgery in September 10th. And here we are, like in November at the time, the end of November, and I'm told that the tumor has gone back dramatically. And the worst news that you want to hear is the chemo drug, the chemo drug, whatever, is not working. They have nothing else to offer her, and they don't want to put her through another surgery. Obviously, when she goes to surgery, the tumor grows right back. So I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know what Lyric may be feeling, because she doesn't really express that part of the brain with her being expressive. She don't really express too much. She doesn't say too much that much anymore. But she told me, Mom, I don't want a D, because I told her don't say die. Don't say that word anymore. So it's like, Mom, I don't want a D. And I said, oh, Lyric, you're not, that's not gonna happen, And I just keep talking to her, we pray together, and it's a scary situation. The very following day, after I'm hearing what these doctors saying, there's nothing else they can do, and then the very following day, you got hospice coming in with oxygen tanks, with morphine medicine, and it's like,
Damn.
it had me feeling like she's about to go any day now,
Where is she now?
She's sleeping right now.
Okay.
In the hotel or hospital?
We're at the hotel.
Okay. So what's the next steps? Is there another doctor? Is there another surgery? What's next?
Well, I've been so T.I. contact me like before all of this news, and he reached out to Dr. Sabi's grandson, Isaiah Bowman. And Isaiah started sending herbs down. However, I didn't know, I thought feeding Lyric on a vegan diet, as long as there's no soy, she's drinking plenty of water. That's all the kid drink is water. I'm thinking I'm doing I'm feeding her correctly. Right. And so apparently not. Apparently I wasn't, being vegan is not healthy, So he came down last week, and he got her on a detox blood purifier, and some other herbs. And they did a meal prep for her, juicing. So we're juicing her in raw food, like raw vegetables. The very next day, after taking his herbs and stuff like that, I was so impressed. Lyric was able to start taking steps. She walked up and down the hallway of the hotel, and I want to say day before yesterday, she did 20 minutes on the treadmill.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we kept it at the lowest speed, and someone stood behind her, but the fact that she just moving her legs,
Absolutely.
So it feels like at this point, we just got to continue to do that, and good old fashioned prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer.
And I'm a little worried. Last night she went to bed. Like I said, this kid never complains. Even if she have a headache, she won't complain. She don't. I sometimes see her grabbing her head or something like that, and I like, Lyric, do you have a headache? And she's like, no. And I think she
wants you, and you're out here.
Yeah. Can you tell Lauren to get her for me real quick, please? Wake her up.
If you gotta go, if you have to go,
Yeah, if you gotta go, we understand.
Yeah, we understand if you have to go.
Yeah, I got her oldest sister taking care of her right now. But it's just you worry. Like you hear on the other end these doctors saying that her tumor is very aggressive, and then you have someone else that tells you to just have faith, keep that faith. Like he keeps reminding me Mom, I need you to keep the same faith that your daughter has. Because Lyric faith is like her faith is like through the roof, you know? Like she tell you she's great even when it's not great.
Yeah.
You know, she gonna tell you she's feeling great. But you know, last night I just like worried because of the headaches. You know, she was experiencing pain last night.
Mm-hmm.
But I just stay hopeful at this time, you know? Just stay hopeful and continue to pray and, you know, hope this new change of diet and these herbs like help
Absolutely.
her.
Well, we coming together this Sunday. Like we said, Easy hit me, and I said absolutely, positively. So we help him put it together, and we're just trying to raise as much money as possible. I know it's hard for you because you had to move out of Atlanta to come here. You've been living in hotels, and I know part of the goal. I know Easy wanted to make sure that you weren't in a hotel for Christmas. He wanted to make sure that at least, even if it was an Airbnb, that you guys were comfortable, and we just want to make sure that the community is there to support you. So this Sunday, we're going to be doing a huge party on her actual page, which is Young Chanel, which is YHUNG dot CHANEL_. And every DJ damn near will be doing it. Me, Efeezy, Kid Capri, shout out to Mr. Rogers. I want to name all the DJs. I don't want to forget nobody. Here we go. Yeah, Camilo, Ace, Mark the Spot, Spin King, Infamous, Steph Cakes, Cash, JQ, RIA, and Double J. So we're doing it for her. Deshaun Watson, who's the quarterback for the Houston Rockets.
Texans.
I said Rockets. Houston Texans. He's going to be donating something big, which he's going to be announcing today, tomorrow. And we just want to say that, we're with you, we're praying for you, and we're going to try to help as much as possible.
I appreciate it.
And is there like a website, a GoFundMe that people can donate to now, even before Sunday?
There is a GoFundMe. It's attached to Lyrics.
Her bio.
on
If you go to
social
Lyrics
media.
page, it's right on her bio.
What is
the
it?
link.
And we put that out there now for the people.
Yeah, it's young.chanel, and I'm gonna post it too, and I'll make sure the Breakfast Club page posts it as well, so people can link right to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna donate some money too, and more importantly, I'm gonna be praying for you, Monica, and Lyric. I hate when I hear things like this because I just don't even know what we can do other than lean on our higher power.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for getting up. I know it's early too there in Texas.
Right. And it's it's a scary situation because since I've been through this journey with Lyric, about 3 kids that I know have already they passed away. I had one kid that was just here. Atlanta had given up on this kid, told the kid that there's nothing else they can do, sent him for hospice. I was like, well, bring him to Texas like Dr. Sandberg, And Dr. Sandberg got this kid. He did an operation on him and put him in his clinical trial for treatment, but the tumor just wasn't, accepting the treatment. And Nicholas ended up passing away a couple of days ago. His funeral was actually Friday.
Damn.
But it's so sad to see these kids have to go through this, and the doctors know that there's no chemo drug that helps the anaplastic ependymoma. That's like one of the worst tumors to have, unfortunately. And like they know chemo doesn't work. Why put these kids through this? And I was just saying, I haven't found one person to survive an anaplastic ependymoma.
Wow.
And that's real sad. That's sad, that not enough research is going into like pediatric brain tumors. Like it's sad.
Well, maybe Lyric's story will help raise awareness to that.
Absolutely, and hopefully it's a change, and we will continue to support, and we want you to continue to check in and let us know how she's doing. And this Sunday, we're trying to raise as much money as possible to make sure that you guys are straight and she's okay. And
give them the GoFundMe again, so people can donate.
We said what?
Give them the GoFundMe again.
Well, you can go to her page, which is Young Chanel, which is YH. Let me go to it. YHUNG.CHANEL_, and her GoFundMe is on the link. You can click the GoFundMe and please donate, and we're gonna be pushing it. Thank you so much for checking in this morning and
Thank you,
sharing your
Monica.
story.
Prayers up for you. Sending
Prayers
you
up for
healing
you. Thank
energy
you
to you
again.
and Lyric.
Thank you guys so much.
Alrighty now, give our love.
Take care.
Alrighty.